I'm Loretta Zajac, and welcome to the Speech Diaries. They say that money makes the world go round, and in many ways, it does. When I was growing up, I soon discovered that having money was the means to an end. Well, somewhat. Because both of my parents worked full time, I was often given money for lunches or to go to a movie or just to buy myself something so I could keep myself occupied. Instead of actually doing those things, I quickly learned that if I used that money to get things for other people instead, then maybe they would see how generous I was and become my friends. I soon learned that once the money was gone, so were many of the people. After years of treating money with reckless abandon, I have come to the realization that what we learn or how we learn to handle money as a child is very instrumental in how we end up dealing with our finances as adults. And in my youth, the whole subject of finances was confusing. Allow me to explain. Both my parents handled money in totally different ways. My father was born in Poland and he lived on a farm, so he knew that in order to get anything, you had to work hard. And it was always a good idea to save for tomorrow because you just never know whether you're going to have enough wheat, enough milk, enough eggs. So he learned at a very young age that it's important to save for the future and just in case. So that was always the way he handled money when he started working and earning it when he came over to Canada. And he always had a dream of one day owning his own home, raising a family, and being financially secure. My mother, on the other hand, was born here in Canada, and although she didn't come from an aristocratic family, she did all right. For a time, she lived with her grandparents, and they made sure she had the things she needed. And it was much more easier here because she didn't have to work in order to ensure that she had a plate of dinner to eat at the family meal. When she grew up and began to work, she saw the money that she earned as a way to indulge, to splurge, to get the things she would only dream of as a child. And so she did. It wasn't about saving for tomorrow in her mind. It was about how much can I get today? Therefore, growing up in that household was confusing. On one hand, somebody's teaching me how to save money. On the other hand, the other person is showing me that spending money is a good thing too. Yeah, I ended up taking after my mother. I'm not blaming my parents for anything because I grew up, I became an adult, and I knew the difference between right and wrong. So it's my choices, and I gotta own it. And when I own it, then I am able to move forward and correct it. And that is what I'm doing now. Let me share a story with you that can explain how confusing it was for me to live in that type of a household. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was great. I loved it. I love both of my parents. But here's an example of how differing their views were on finances. My dad had been saving money for a while so that he could get a new car. One day he decided to go to Queenston Cheval's. Way back then, it actually was on Queenston Road. His salesperson friend showed him this demo car that was at a really reasonable price, $2,000. Back then, $2,000 was a lot. It was a navy blue Chevy Biscayne. My dad loved it. Right away, he said to his friend, "Come on, let's go to the bank. I'm going to pay cash for it right now." So my dad goes over to the bank with his friend beside him, the salesperson, walks up to the cashier and writes out a withdrawal slip for $2,000. The cashier looks at him and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Zajac. You don't have enough funds in the account to cover this. In fact, you have very little in the account." My dad was stunned and embarrassed because his friend was with him. He couldn't understand. He knew he had saved the money. When he got home that evening, he discovered that my mother decided it was time for her to get a new mink coat. Not only that, to buy my grandmother one as well. Needless to say, my father wasn't very happy. And although my mother had her mink coat, she wasn't very happy at the moment either. That was not a fun evening at the Zajac household, let me tell you. Not to worry though, everything worked out. My mother helped my dad save the money to get a new car, which he eventually did get. My mom got to keep her mink coat, and so did my grandma. And everyone lived happily ever after. The only thing that changed as a result of that incident was they no longer had a joint bank account. Those were stories from back in the day and how it was difficult to learn and adopt proper techniques for saving money. And unfortunately, like I mentioned previously, I took after my mother's mentality when it comes to finances. I wish I didn't, but I did. Nevertheless, I'm here to change and make things better. Now, when I look around at everything, it's even harder for somebody like me. There is temptation everywhere. There's payday loan companies, which are virtually licensed loan sharks, credit cards that are coming out of the wazoo, places that you can get loans online like that. But the interest rates, are terrible. It's almost impossible to pay these places back. Now, don't get me wrong. I think credit cards are something that we need in this day and age, but it's important that you learn to pay them back within the time limit you're allotted. That will result in you not having to pay interest charges. Now, a lot of people, myself included, end up maxing the cards and having to pay at least the minimum amount every month. And that is like the never-ending story. That's one thing I'm working on right now, is to try to pay off all of the credit cards that I have. And then I just want to keep one, and I want to make sure that I pay the amount that I owe within the time limit allotted for me to do so. I think that's the wisest way to use a credit card. Don't spend money that you don't have, because you don't know. My goal now is to learn creative ways to start saving money. Even if it might seem childish to some, I don't care. It gives me a way to utilize my creative side of the brain as well as my analytical side. And hopefully, hopefully, they'll get along and I'll end up at the end of this with some money saved. And one thing that I do want to do is teach my grandchildren how to save money for the future, because I think it is so important that we teach our children when they're young. So I recently ordered this money box and it came disassembled, so I did have to put it together, but it wasn't that hard. It was easy. And what it is that money goes inside of the top of the box here. You can put bills in it, you can put coins in it, whatever you want. And here there are a number of squares, and in each square is an amount of money, a specific denomination. There's $1, $2, $15, $10, $20. It goes on, and once you put that amount of money in the box, you will X out the dollar amount that you inserted. And then once this whole thing has been completed, you will save $1,000. And I think it's fun. And I actually look forward to coming home and putting my loose change in here, and any bills that I get or any extra cash I have from my weekly budget, I'll put it in there and I will exit out. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm not even really tempted to open it up, because I could if I wanted to. But I really do want to successfully complete this. And I started thinking that wouldn't it be great to give something like this to my grandchildren so that they could have something to look forward to. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get each of them, the younger grandchildren, one of these boxes, and I'm going to ask them, what's something that you really want? And then we're going to draw a picture of it, or maybe print one depending on what it is. And then they can see what they are saving for. And by the time they've completed the box, why, they have money to buy it. Probably some extra money as well to put in their savings. I recently just got this book. It's called the Ultimate Money Savings Challenge book, and it has different games that you can play in order to save money. I think it's a great idea, especially when you're trying to teach children how to save money. So it starts off with, this is easy. So here are dollars, and there's a bouquet of balloons. And so every time they put a dollar in an envelope, so you get them an envelope or something to put the money in that they're going to save, every time you put a dollar in, they can color a balloon. And once this whole bouquet has been colored in, then they have saved $30. And it's a 30-day challenge, so I guess if you're an adult, you put a dollar in a day, and by the end of it, you'll have $30. And then here's $60. If you put toonies in, you can have a toonie balloon. Hey, Canada, $150 for a maple leaf. Why not? In addition to the game, I got another box. It's similar to the one I had before, only this one comes already put together, and it has a little doohickey on the back that you can open up to take the money out, which I think is too tempting. But anyway, it's different because it's not just $1,000 that you can save. You can save $500 or $800 or $1,000 or $3,000. It goes up to, I think, $10,000, if not more. And it also comes with some blank peel and stick labels, and you can put in your own denominations to save whatever amount you want. So that's terrific. They're wonderful little ways to save money. And I think it's important, and it's makes it so much easier and a lot of fun. It's been fun for me to learn these money saving games. I'm really looking forward to completing that first box. And I'm also kind of excited about introducing this method to my grandchildren. I think they're going to enjoy it. I want to teach them that being together with family and friends and trying new adventures, the things that money can't buy, are really, really important and to be valued and respected. However, having money makes everything a lot more easier. And then you are able to do things not only for yourself, but for the ones you love as well. And that's what life is all about. Hi, it's Loretta. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Please don't forget to do a thumbs up and subscribe. That would help me a lot. Thank you so much.